Okay, I think that's, yeah, that's pretty much all we need. So,
I can hear you. You can hear me.
yeah, good.
Let's do it. Let's do a test when I share the music. See if you can hear it well,
Okay,
or if
yeah,
it's too loud or whatever.
uh-huh.
America, your head's too.
Is that okay?
It's not too bad. It's not, I don't know, how does it sound on your side? It's,
It's good
um,
in the headphones, but once it's sent through Riverside, it's not going to be like, you know, studio quality.
yeah, because
Something
I still think that, because how are we going to do this? Is it going to have that, is that going to cover most of the screen, or is it going to be just our heads?
I think it'll look like not I don't know what you're seeing now. What I see now is the screen share and then the two of us one on top the other on the right side, but I think the live stream will show the screen up top and then the two of us at the bottom. I don't know
Yeah,
how to I don't know how to change that, and we're going to be pretty small in comparison. I don't know how to
yeah,
adjust the
because
settings.
that's the tricky part, right? Because I think for these kind of reaction videos, I do think it's quite important that people are able to see actually what is going on our faces whilst we're listening to it. Otherwise, it's kind of like, otherwise they don't, they otherwise they're just looking at Morrissey and he's not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering. Da, 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 da. Is there another way to do it potentially? Because I mean, okay, we're plugged in. We can listen to the songs, but I mean, we can listen to the songs. The songs don't need to be listened to, as it were, exactly in sync, as long as we sort of start at the same time. And I guess it makes sense to listen to the song the whole way through, maybe, rather than faff around with kind of stopping, starting. Um, I'm just wondering if it might be easier to just do something almost like just a simple Zoom recording or something like that, where you've just got just the two faces. Um, if it's not possible to change just the 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 setup on here, or could we potentially do it through, not through guitar and pen, but through, I don't know, your texting link or something?
Well, it would be the same thing.
Would it?
I mean, yeah, the studios are gonna configure the screen share in the same way.
Because
Um,
what happens if you get rid of
One
Morrissey?
thing
If
we
you
could
get,
how about this? What if we try picture in picture? Let's see what that looks like. No, that's not really better, is it? Speaker full screen. Nope. Speaker split screen. Yeah, those are the options. We got picture in picture, that's this. And I disappeared there. Speaker full screen, that's going to be the screen share. And then
because I mean, even if
speaker
Morrissey
split
was like a
screen.
third of the screen, it's just that, I don't know. Um, I guess I'm also very aware of this, having posted that recent video, which the Magister Ludi, in other words, the YouTube algorithm. I mean, just didn't care for it, right? Because I think in a way it, even though I thought it was great, I thought we'd really done some lovely things there, but it didn't care for it, and you can understand why. It's brutal. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. You're talking about a book that no one's read. So fuck you. I'm not going to show it to anyone. I mean, that's literally what it's done. It's not shown it to anybody, right? I mean, yeah, there's a few people who have clicked on it, but it hasn't shown it to anyone. And I'm very aware of that. I'm more aware of that. I'm kind of like, it's crazy, but I'm very aware of that fucking algorithm, sort of going thumbs up, thumbs down. If thumbs up, you've got a chance, but thumbs down, you might as well not even record it, because it's.
Well, I mean, I've got some thoughts about that we can discuss after, but for the sake of this live stream, which by the way has already started, we're
are we already talking?
Yeah, we're already live. That's okay.
Oh, that's all right.
This is the raw version. But how about this? What if we just share when the music's on, and then I'll stop sharing, and then it's us again,
Why can't it just be us like this all the time, and then we listen to the music? Because what I will do, right, once you've send me the video, is I will put the Morrissey track, obviously whatever we listen to, I'll play that, I'll put a decent version of that on, so that because I think the only way that people are going to want to listen to this is if, right, it's they get to feel like they're really sitting down with us and listening to this album, and it feels that way. Seeing the two of us on the screen now, it feels that way, that like we're inviting a third person in to come and listen. But with the Morrissey, it didn't feel like that.
Well, what if we just?
Because what happens as soon as you start playing Morrissey, he comes up. It's not possible to play the Morrissey invisibly, as it were, and just have us talking like this. Is that right?
Well, let's see what would happen if I did that. If I just play it without sharing. Let's see.
Yeah.
Tell me if you can hear. I think it's not going to work. Can you hear that, for example?
No.
Nothing?
Right. Yeah. No.
You hear nothing?
No, I can't hear a thing.
So that doesn't work. It only plays the music in the live stream when the screen is shared.
Yeah. So
This
I
is
guess
fascinating content.
well, who's watching?
Tomek's in the chat. Yeah. It's a spliff in full effect.
Sorry, Tomek. We should have.
What if we just? I mean, I know it's not a reaction video, in the sense that
Well, there's two ways we could do it. We can either do
it.
Yeah, we can either do it in a way that will make the video worth watching, which I would prefer to do, or and I think the only way that could happen was basically if we played the tracks through our own computers. And I mean, whoever's listening will need to, unfortunately, they'll need to bring up each track as we listen, and for the live stream. But so if I just got up YouTube on my computer, presumably I can hear it. And similarly, you can as well, right? So, or Spotify or whatever. So if we just played the tracks through our computers, so whoever was following along, it's just going to be Tomek in this case, probably anyway, would not hear the tracks. If he wanted to hear the tracks, he'd need to access that. And then I can fill them in, obviously, afterwards, so that we can have it. I mean, how does that sound as a possibility? Would that work?
I don't think it would, because we're going to be like bobbing our heads to different rhythms, because unless we start at exactly the same instant, we're going to be like out of sync as we're listening. Unless we're
Right.
listening to the same thing, it's going to be pretty strange. How about this? Another possibility, instead of like a listening party, we just discuss the tracks and then play samples when necessary, or when we want to highlight something, and then I'll close the screen share. You know what I mean? Like we play a little bit, stop screen sharing, stop the track, then stop the screen sharing, talk for a bit, then try something else.
I don't know. It's tricky. Sorry. It's just, yeah, at the moment, I'm just in this kind of place where I'm like, oh, to create a piece of content just for the sake of it. Um, Sorry, we should have maybe I should have we should have looked at this before. Um, I'm just wondering what are the other options here, because really, okay, what would it require to just simply have two people who are able to hear? I mean, if you do it on Zoom, for example, right? Because I mean, I can obviously just record us on Zoom. Um, Presumably one can then also hear what is being played. You can just sort of play something. I don't know if you ever use Zoom.
Yeah, I've used it. Sure, we can try that. You send me a Zoom link.
Because if we're doing it on Zoom, I think we should be able to listen to the same audio, shouldn't we?
We can try.
Um, I mean, unfortunately, we might, yeah, not do the live stream, but I don't know. I just at the moment, just to do, kind of just do something sort of, it doesn't, that's, I don't think is going to, I don't think is going to appeal to the god of the algorithm. I mean, we could, Tomic might find that interesting. Maybe we could stay on the live stream and talk about that for a bit. Um, Maybe we could make this a chat about that and do the Morrissey another time, once we've sort of got our, once we've worked out the best way to do it,
Is
perhaps.
that your real background, or is that one of those filters?
No, this is my real background because
That's
it
a
was.
nice view. I like the glass.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting in the greenhouse because when it was
Oh, okay.
yeah, when it was a bit sunny for a while, and I thought, oh, let me pretend I'm in LA and go and, you know, pretend I'm Morrissey in LA with some sort of sun shining in my eyes, but it's
Hmm.
gone all gloomy and it's gone all gloomy and rainy again. Um, um,
Well, just tell me what you want to do. I mean, I'm happy to discuss the album in its entirety, and since it's a guitar and pen episode, I'm going to focus on songwriting aspects. But if you don't feel like doing it without the technical setup that you envisioned, then I understand. I can analyze it myself later, or not, or we can turn off the live stream here and try the Zoom. That might work, or Skype. Although
how does
I
it
if
work?
you
I mean, because I mean, Riverside is good because you've got it's just recording. It's recording in high quality. It's going to record in a better quality than Zoom, right? Which is
definitely.
also, which also, the Magister Ludi, the YouTube, god who decides everything.
I think
does.
you're being too respectful towards him or her. You know, fuck Mikey Sterluti, fuck the algorithm, fuck the YouTube gods. I know that doesn't do much for your subscriptions or whatever, but I mean, is that really the focus, or should it be?
I don't know. It is an interesting question. It's one I'm really tussling with at the moment because you're right. Yes, I mean, to do it for the pleasure, for the sake of doing it, is really key. But then at the same time, to feel that you're producing something that nobody wants to watch. What can I say? It feels. Yeah, it's maybe it's just a blow to the ego more than anything else, right? Maybe it's just sort of as much as anything,
So
it's
in
like
that,
saying,
sure, but that's where I would say, invoke the spirit of the eight and say, no, this is happening because I will it to happen.
well, that is very eight. So yeah, I mean, let's
But
let's
I
go
don't
with
know. I
it.
mean, we could while we're here, we could. I mean, maybe before we start, this is becoming like a totally unrelated chat session, but that makes it more interesting. Oh, Tomek says this is so meta,
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
is
getting
meta,
a
and I'll
message
tell
that
you.
says show on stream. What does that mean? So I can show his message. Look at that.
Oh wow,
Look
cool,
at that.
excellent, even better. Yeah, even
And then
better.
I can hide it.
Um, It is meta, and while we're talking about meta, I am in a very meta space. I am taking quite seriously your suggestion on page 169 of Earnest Games to go and write my own Earnest Games, and there we go. Yeah, and in fact, if you don't mind, if you could read for me at some point and send me the the paragraph preceding where you give the command in a very eight-like way. Um, the paragraph. There's a paragraph preceding that, and then there's the infinity symbol and
Yeah,
the
I've
go
got
and
it
write
right
your own.
here.
Yeah,
57 to the number before infinity, redacted in anticipation of the limniscate, the sign of life, which, like an endless cord, forms the figure 8 in a horizontal position and signifies, among other things, the Gnostic Ogdoad. And then infinity. Imagine that you yourself were asked to write a book called Earnest Games. Now write the book.
yeah, and as I say, this is that really has captured me. Also because I'm so sort of all over the place. I feel like I almost need a kind of like a command from God or something, right? So I'm sort of almost taking this as a kind of as a command, like right, go and do this. And so the way I'm going to do it, I think, is I'm going to do something kind of quite synecdoche New York type, very meta around the writing of my Earnest Games, right? And just do like little videos on my channel, something like that. But that's by the by. That's just something I want to try and do from a kind of a meta perspective. And also, ultimately, I think the Earnest Game, at least for me, is the game of creativity. It is the game of of content, right? In a
Yeah, but
way, wouldn't you say?
then the creation of it has to be its own reward. Like seeking validation from the algorithm or others, um, that should be secondary, and in my opinion it should be like ignored and despised. We got another message in the chat. Morrissey's playing in Manchester, Dublin, and Glasgow in May and June. I think this is Craig. It's not giving me the option of sharing his message. Tomek says the show about the show. How come I was able to share his message before, but I can't now? I don't know.
Weird. All right. Well, if there are two people,
we've got an audience. We may as
okay.
well.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, again, right? If we've got two people watching us, it's not just us spinning our wheels. Then, yeah, let's just do it. Let's do it.
Tomek says, "I agree with you, Mark." Okay. All right. Let me do a little intro since this is the official start in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello and welcome to another episode of Guitar and Pen, a songwriter's notebook. I'm Mark Will, author, songwriter, and publisher in permanent exile. And I'm joined once again by Steve of Idiotville on YouTube. How are you today?
I am generally disgruntled, I would say, but that seems to be the perfect sort of mood and ambience to do a Morrissey listening party, you know, because I'm sure that's what, you know, completely. Morrissey is. And I'm even more disgruntled because I brought out some tea. Oh, there it is. Okay, I brought out some mint tea, which I thought I'd left inside, but I haven't. So, yeah. This is going to kick off maybe, hopefully, a couple of album listens, right? You had said, what's your favorite Morrissey album? And
World
I suggested...
Peace is None of Your Business.
That's your one, yeah. And I'd suggested for me Quarry, so this is Quarry, and then we were sort of talking beforehand how best to do it. And maybe for Quarry, we'll get a better setup, but for now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to each track and stare at Morrissey's mug whilst doing so, and not our beautiful winsome faces who will be, you know, emoting various things. Sorry, you're going to miss out on all of that, but then we'll come back to our ugly mugs for
discussion.
Is that the plan?
I think so, yeah. Let's see how it goes. Let's
roll it. Let's just fucking roll that first track and get going.
Tomek likes the word disgruntled. Me too. All right. Well, let's let the party begin, shall we? And you just stop me when there's something you want to discuss.
I think let's actually roll it all the way through. Let's also treat it a bit. I want to treat it also for my general, you know, anxious, depressed disgruntlement, almost a bit like a meditation, a bit like okay, 4 minutes of Morrissey just blasting through my ears.
Let's do it. Here we go, and we can be as animated as we want.
That's right.
On our little small screen. Here we go.
America, your head's too big. Oh, America, your belly's too big. And I love you, I just wish you'd stay where you've been. Oh, in America, the land of the free, they said, and of opportunity, in a just and a truthful way. But where the president is never black, female or gay, and until that day, you've got nothing to say to me to help me believe. Oh, in America, It brought you the hamburger. Oh, well, America, you know where you can shove your hamburger. And don't you wonder why in Estonia they say, hey you need fat pig, you fat pig, you fat pig. Steely blue eyes with no love in them scan the world, and a humorless smile with no warmth within greets the world. And I have got nothing to offer you. No, 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 no. Just this heart deep and true, which you say you don't need. See with your eyes, touch with your hands, please. Hear through your ears, know in your soul, please. For haven't you me with you now? And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you, I love you, I love you.
Okay, let me stop it. Yeah, some interesting messages in the chat.
I'd be interested to know how the sound is sounding on the live stream, because it's really very tinny. It's not great.
Oh, yeah?
From my side, yeah. I mean, I actually, whilst listening to it, I went to this video on YouTube and started listening to it direct from the video on YouTube, and it was no, don't worry about copyright. Well, we'll come back to that. Yeah, and it was about 10 times better.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it's like for Tomek. No, they're not going to. Well, this is the way it works with copyright, right? So for those listening parties, if it depends on the album. Yeah, exactly. The way it sort of works, from what I can tell, is that for a lot of albums, it's not a problem, because the Magister Ludi understands, right, that you are not trying to make money on Morrissey. That it is it is an interaction with the album,
cultural commentary.
Yeah, but also an album like this, I think if you went through all the tracks, you would find that a number of them have been shared on other YouTube channels, maybe all of them, in fact. And when that happens, that usually indicates that Morrissey or whoever this record label is have kind of forgotten about it and are not chasing copyright claims. But this can all be worked out. Yeah, this will all be worked out in the final edit, because I'll just upload it and it'll tell me soon enough whether I need to chop or change or cut.
Before that, I mean, maybe the live stream will get a copyright notice. But the thing is, it's not a direct upload of the track, right? It's a track played through the live stream, so it may not even
Exactly.
pick up on it.
I think it, particularly for this album, it's unlikely. I mean, some things, wow, the copyright is just crazy. Like anything from the BBC, they must have, I don't know what they've done, but if you use even 20 seconds of, because I've tried, of like a David Attenborough documentary,
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
shuts down the whole thing.
Yes.
Copyright claim is not a problem. Usually it will say, usually for some reason it says, oh, this video can't be seen in Russia, but the rest of the world, I don't know, for some reason, whenever I get a copyright, it just says can't be seen in Russia, but can be seen everywhere else.
That's happened to me once before too, and interestingly, it was a Clash song that we put in a. It was just like a sample of London Calling in a podcast, like maybe 10 seconds, and it said Russia specifically did not allow it. Who knows why?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so we've turned off the track. We've stopped screen sharing, so it's our two ugly mugs with our headphones again. Let me ask you about your, if not necessarily your Morrissey origin story, your You Are the Quarry origin story. Like, why is this your favorite? And why did you want to revisit it? Take that wherever you want, and then I have something to say about that too. But you go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I want to discuss that track as well because I think it's an interesting one. But so I'll be quite brief because I you know, that's the other thing. I do need to take Max for a walk at the very latest, probably 5 my time. But that gives us an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, when it comes to Morrissey in general, and those solo Morrissey albums. When I think you said to me, well, what's your favorite Morrissey album? I went and looked at them all again. And I think I chose Quarry just because for me, it seems to be the most fully fleshed solo Morrissey album that's got like, you know, so many of those songs are just classics. So many of the songs are just sort of just so rich, and it just seems to hang together very, very well as an album. And there's not, I don't think there's very many duds either. You know, even, well, for all artists, there's often a few duds. There's often a few tracks where I'm thinking, oh God, well, right, well, if we're going to do the full listen, we're going to have to listen to that as well. It's not my favorite track. But in this case, I don't think there's a single track on here that I wouldn't enjoy listening to, if that makes sense.
Very, very solid album. I think you could. I mean, I'm probably much less familiar with his solo catalog than you. I just know like individual tracks from the whole history, and then really the only full albums I'm familiar with are these two. And I didn't even realize how much I knew of You Are the Quarry until I started listening the last couple of days. It's like, oh, that's on here too? That's like one of my favorite Morrissey songs. And they're all here, as you say. And then from track 1 to track 12, like, yeah, they're all solid. There's no dud. And I just wanted to add that, like, I remember very clearly when this came out because I was supposed to go see him in either Houston or Austin, and my friend Pat and I were gonna go, and he had the album, and we were playing it in the car, the CD. This first track in particular is what I remember, and then he canceled, and so we didn't get to see him. And we think, you know, he always claims illness, but we think it was just that Lone Star hate. You know, he's like, Texas, fuck that, I'm not going there. This was the Bush era, right?
Yeah.
So I think someone upset him or said something, and he's like, "No, I'm not playing Texas."
But
So we
also,
didn't get to see him.
let's remind ourselves. I mean, Morrissey is a perpetually disgruntled, waspish, flaky four. That is the term I actually use for all my Enneagram 4 clients. I call them the flaky fours. Because we are. Fours are very flaky. They're like, it's like, oh, well, the sun came out, so now I'm ready to record. Oh, now the sun's not here. No, I don't think I could do it today. I speak for myself here. We are the fucking princesses of of the human idiot world. I really think so. We're awful. We're just awful. And Morrissey has that in spades. He's just such a freaking drama queen.
No,
But
for sure.
but it's the drama queen that we love, and that also in his art is that what we so enjoy, because basically, like this song, right? He's telling you all the reasons why he hates America, reasons we can all get with, but then he ends the song by going, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you."
Well, there's always that kind of
There's that fundamental contradiction there, which again I see as a very fourish quality.
well, there are always these paradoxes, or I don't know, maybe you could call them turns or twists. There's always seems like in every Morrissey song, whether it's a Smith song or a solo effort, there's always some kind of lyrical digression or excursus, which is one of the great things I appreciate about his lyrics, or his songwriting. The way that there's something completely unexpected from the title. You wouldn't expect this just reading the title or listening to the first 2 minutes of the track or whatever. There's some lyrical excursus or like a musical bridge or middle eight that is totally unexpected. Tomek says that's why I ditched 4 for 3. Haha. Oh, I can share that. Let me share it. Show on stream. Oh, look, there it is. Yeah. So
I like those. I like
yeah,
that. I like
more,
those.
more
Yeah.
interactive. I
Yeah.
didn't even know I had that capability until just now. But what was I saying? Yeah, that little, I want to call it a twist or a turn. Just some unexpected surprise, lyrically, musically, or both. And there's some other excellent examples of that in these other tracks. But for me, the standout line is, and I remember this in 2000. What was it? 2004. Yeah, 2004 or 5 when I first heard it. Where the president is never black, female, or gay. That's a really powerful line. Of course, that was before
That's
Obama,
right.
And then we learn from 2008 to 2016. Oh, it doesn't matter. You can have a black, female, gay, trans president, and it's still fucking empire. So at the time, yeah, that's one of the lines that's a bit dated, right? Even though it's still, you can understand why he wrote that at the time, and even now perhaps, but that's already been tried, and nothing changes. The empire is stronger than the figurehead at the top. Turn is a great poetic term I just recently learned. Show on stream. Yeah, turn. I mean, trope literally means turn. So maybe that's the English equivalent of Greek tropos.
What's it like for you as an American to have Morris? Because let me put it this way. I did a video on my channel about a month ago called "Falling for America," which is really about
remember, yeah.
my love affair with America. And
Show
I do
notes.
it I do it through these 4 songs about America. And I think, and one of them is
This is
from
one of them.
this
Yeah.
is one of them, right?
Yeah.
And so I really Morrissey's really singing for me here in many ways, because I can see all of the rancidness, if you like, of America. Of course I can. And yet, America for me, and also for Morrissey, I guess, which is why he's essentially an American, more so than a Brit these days. There is there is this fascination. There is, it's sort of the exotic. There's an exotic element to it, or a mythical element to it, which I don't find enough of on this island. I think that's what it boils down to. That I think there's a true mythos happening in America, for all its rawness and for all its grandiosity and grandeur, which I don't experience on this island. Why I feel like we're always, it's kind of like living in the shadow of America, even to this day.
Well, let me give you my perspective on that. I think I mentioned it in chat. While you were having your love affair with America, I was having like a kind of Anglophilia phase that I went through, more so as a teen. But I think I mentioned, like, I had this box for my cassette tapes, right? And I drew and painted a Union Jack on it, because one of my favorite albums at that time was Who's Greatest Hits, and it's got that, I think it's like a suit, a guy wearing a suit that consists of the Union Jack. So I was all about British bands, the Who, the Beatles.
And what was
the
that
Stones,
mythos
Led
for you?
Zeppelin.
Yeah, what was that? What was that as an alternative? Because just like America for me was like, oh, I don't want this, I want that. What was, or I want to associate more with that. I'm drawn to that. What were you drawn to in those English bands?
I mean, I just loved the music and the songwriting, and I love what they did with so-called American music. I mean, the Stones have said, like, we're just 5 white blokes playing American music. So it was the music. It wasn't like I had a desire to move to the UK and fucking, attend Oxford University or something like that. Here's another comment to share. Tomek says, I'm an Anglophile. I think it's all about fascination with the other. Why didn't that work? There we go. Yeah, it could be that. I mean, the grass is always greener, right? But I didn't, maybe it wasn't as strong as your Americanism. I didn't feel an overwhelming desire to become a Brit. Like, if we're talking about the British Isles, I'm more interested in the Celtic prehistory, right? I'm more interested in my Welsh and Scotch Irish roots, because I do have, and Cornish, I do have people on both sides of the family from there, and so I've only been to the UK once, and that was long ago on the way to Greece, and it was a very short term visit. So I would like to go back and explore more, and that kind of leads us into track number 2.
Yeah, let's have it.
Irish Blood, English Heart.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting. Let's play a little bit of that. Let's see what happens here. Is it gonna come up? Oops, it's not playing because I'm not sharing. Hold on just a second. Screen. And maybe I won't play the whole thing. Let's see. This is one of his all-time great songs. Killer track.
The sounds seemed a bit better, but coming in and out.
Irish blood, English heart, this I'm made of. There is no one on earth I'm afraid of, and no regime can buy or sell me. I've been dreaming of a time when to be English is not to be painful, to be standing by the flag, not feeling shameful, racist or partial. Irish blood, English heart, this I'm made of. There is no one on earth I'm afraid of, and I will die with both of my hands untied. I've been dreaming of a time when the English are sick to death of Labour and Tories, and spit upon the name Oliver Cromwell, and denounce this royal line that's still saluting, and will salute him forever.
Wow.
I was gonna stop that, but I didn't want to.
Well,
I
you
didn't
know,
wanna-
2 minutes and 37 seconds. You can't. A song like that has to be heard. I think they all really have to, in a way, be heard all the way through. Just because this is the album where it is kind of all killer, no filler. I mean, this. I think we see here very much. Morrissey's 8, I would say his Enneagram 8 side, the challenger side, you know, I will die with both of my hands untied. And I think it's also that part of him that pisses people off, right? It's people can kind of, he can get away with the fey, four-ish, you know, gladiola in his back pocket, bitchy navel gazing for snowflake 4. He can, you know, he can get away with that, but it's when he steps into his more vocal challenging 8 role, he becomes a thorn in people's sides. And there's also a naivety to it. I don't know what you think about this. I mean, there's a naivety, I think, to that eight-ish stance, which is he genuinely saying that it would be possible at any point to stand in front of the British flag without any of the associations of empire and all of those nefarious associations? I mean, isn't that a little bit naive to even suggest that might be possible?
Well, if we consider the title of the track, I'm reminded of Johnny Rotten's self-description, right? He calls himself an Anglo-Saxon Celt. And what he means, it's basically the same thing. Like, I'm Irish by birth, but I sympathize culturally with England. I mean, Paul McCartney said something similar, right? Like, Great Britain, you are tremendous, and nobody knows like me. But really, what are you doing in the land beyond the sea, right? give Ireland back to the Irish is the song this comes from. And of course McCartney also is Irish blood, English heart, right? So you've got all these Celtic or ethnically Celtic musicians, especially. It's like particularly in the field of music that have contributed so much to British culture, and so they all, you know, um, admire aspects of British culture and have contributed to it and are proud of their contributions, but at the same time they're disgusted by, you know, empire. And when he says he's dreaming of a time, I think he knows that's not realistic, right? And he even says like, spit on this royal line, denounce this royal line, spit upon the name Oliver Cromwell and denounce this royal line that still salute him and will salute him when? Forever. So he knows it's not going to happen. Oliver Cromwell is an interesting choice, right? Because he's a revolutionary. He killed the king, he and his armies, and then, so I don't know why the British monarchy would admire him. Maybe they do, just because he was such a piece of shit authoritarian. Maybe they like that. So to answer the question, I don't think we need to take it too literally or seriously. I think he's just saying, I wish, it were possible to be more proud of my British, if not heritage, citizenship or whatever.
What do you make of the line? This, again, this is pure fighting talk, which annoys people, right? There is no one on earth I'm afraid of.
I love it. I mean,
of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah. This is why it's one of my favorite songs. First of all, this band. I mean, this band kicks ass. These guys rock. It's like, in some ways, heavier than the jangly Johnny Marr Smith.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's why this is all. I mean, I think this track's actually on one of those Guitar Hero video games. It's it's heavy. It rocks. It's fucking awesome. And so he's got the lyrical punch to match it. It's like. Yeah, as you say, full on 8, and I'm here for it. All right, let's keep it snappy.
Let's forgive Jesus now, shall we?
Yeah. So what happens is he has his meditation on America, his meditation on the UK, and now he's going to have his meditation on the church, I guess, and Jesus in particular. Another banger. Here we go.
I was a good kid.
And we've got a video this time.
I wouldn't do you no harm. I was a nice kid with a nice paper round. Forgive me any pain I may have brought to you. With God's help, I know I'll always be near to you. But Jesus hurt me when he deserted me, but I have forgiven Jesus for all the desire he placed in me when there's nothing I can do with this desire. I was a good kid. Through hail and snow I'd go. just to moon you. I carried my heart in my hand. Do you understand? Do you understand? But Jesus hurt me when he deserted me. But I have forgiven Jesus for all of the love he placed in me when there's no one I can turn to with this love. Monday, humiliation. Tuesday, suffocation. Wednesday, condescension.
Thursday is pathetic.
By Friday, life has killed me. By Friday, life has killed me. Oh, pretty one. Oh, pretty one. Why did you give me so much desire when there is nowhere I can go to offload this desire? And why did you give me so much love in a loveless world when there's no one I can turn to unlock all this love? And why did you stick me in self-deprecating bones and skin? Jesus, do you hate me? Why did you stick me in self-deprecating bones and skin? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me?
Incredible.
Hello world, wake me up to...
We're going to have to sit through some ads. All right, let's stop the screen share. I just realized my mic is way over here. Is my sound okay? Can you hear me?
It seemed to be all right. I can, yeah, seemed to be okay for
So
what
I'll
I
just
can.
leave it there. If I move it here, it'll be a lot louder. Or let's see what happens if I move it here. Is that much louder? Or is that
It seems to
basically the
be.
same?
It seems to be the same kind of setup.
Maybe
I'm
I'll
I'm
just
in,
leave it here.
yeah, I'm interested in the song. I mean, why has he got it in for Jesus as opposed to God, right? I mean, surely Jesus is
Because he's a
also in, particularly Jesus is stuck in self-deprecating bones and skin. Surely we should all be kind of fighting the patriarch as opposed to poor Jesus.
Well, but
Is what I would say.
I understand very well. I mean, again, Irish blood, English heart, right? He's a little Irish Catholic boy from Manchester, so he grew up. You know, the authority of Jesus on the cross is more impressive visually than the abstract notion of God, right? Like that's the thing that the little Catholic boys and girls are supposed to bow down before. You know, the priest invokes the image of Jesus on the cross, maybe even holding the cross. So it's like a image of authority. And even though my background is Protestant, I understand it very well. Like I get it. Even though his characteristics are different from those of the patriarchal Yahweh or Jehovah or whatever. He's the authority figure in the Christian religion, right? So he's the one that you must bow down before. And so, hey, if you accept the doctrine of the Trinity, well, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, they're all one somehow. So I understand what he's saying. Like the part I don't understand is this line. I was a good kid through hail
Oh, that's
and
my
snow.
favorite line. Yeah.
I'd go just to moon you. What does that mean? What it means in the States?
Yeah, pull down your trousers and show your
Show
ass.
someone your ass, right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why does he say that? You think like I
Well, you
was a
see,
good kid?
I think this is the perfect example of that. That perfectly, I don't know. It's just blissful, right? This sort of cheeky turn. Because when you read it, you think he's going to say something like, I was a good kid. I'd go through hail and snow just to deliver the coal that you
Right,
needed to stoke your
right, right.
fire. But in fact, he's going through hail and snow to do something obnoxious.
Yeah, right, right.
Right? He's going to a friend's house and standing outside, and maybe some Christian friend, possibly, I don't know, right? And then sort of calling and saying yoo-hoo, and then when they look out, I don't know, maybe even some sweet little girl or something like that, some sort of sweet little Christian girl, when she looks out, he pulls down his trousers. I carried my heart in my hand. Do you understand? Do you understand? It's that, yeah, it's that sort of paradoxical. I don't know. It's the brio of Morrissey, ultimately, isn't it? That line.
Brio. Ooh, I like it. Allegro con brio.
Yeah, there is something
Well,
about him. There's something kind of cheeky, naughty.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad to know it means the same thing. Here is one of the first turns that I'm talking about, the unexpected, in this case, lyrical twist. Monday, humiliation. Tuesday, suffocation. Wednesday, condescension. Thursday is pathetic. I mean, that is amazing. I couldn't believe that the first time I heard it. So, it's just brilliant, Like, where did that come from? What great lines,
What is brilliant about that?
Self-deprecating
Because
bones and
yeah,
skin. Well,
because again,
it's
I just
just
look at that and I think, well, yeah, this is pretty much how the week transpires for me.
yes,
Craig David is
but that
out there. Monday, he meets the girl, and by Friday, he's shagging her. And for the self-deprecating, pathetic Enneagram fours of this world, it's humiliation, suffocation, condescension. Pathos of a sort, and then by Friday, is it any wonder that we're feeling a bit worse for wear, right?
well, I mean, I think it's well known that, especially early Smith songs, they were basically just diary entries, right? Like Johnny would play something on the guitar, and then Morrissey would open his diary and try to sing what he had written in there. Let's see if this works, right? This is just like a diary entry from this
Yes.
this kid in self-deprecating bones and skin. And what a phrase that is. Why did you stick me in self-deprecating bones and skin? I mean, it's like Noel Gallagher says, Noel Gallagher, another Irish blood, English heart type of guy. Um, he says, Morrissey's the most literate man to ever write songs. Okay, here's a comment from the chat. Love the Craig David reference. I don't get that. What's that? What's the Craig David
Oh,
reference?
don't you know that Craig David 7 Days song? This silly R&B song where he talks about meeting this girl on a Sunday, and then he goes through the different days of the week,
Oh,
basically bragging in his very Enneagram 3-ish way about how he, seduced her, but in a kind of a lovely way as well. Um, but and this is the anti Craig David. This is the sort of I'm all alone. Well, we're coming to that. That's the song 4, right? I'm all alone. I'm gonna die alone. Everyone hates me, but I hate them even more. Misanthropic Morrissey dirge, right? Which either you're just like hell yeah, someone's got to say it, or you're sort of I guess those anti-Morrissey, anti-Smiths folk are a bit like, get a life, or something.
No, I mean, well, I'm not one of those people. I'm like, yeah, this is unique. I mean, who writes pop songs like this? Who says these things in popular song? I'm all for it, you know. What
It's
about
very raw.
Tomek's?
It's very raw. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, as you say, that's what we love. Tomek says this has Madonna vibes. Maybe he's talking about like the power of goodbye period. I guess that's maybe what he means. It is a beautiful dirge. That's a great word to describe it. And
Yeah.
this is, I think this is one of his very best songs. Now I will say musically, there's something about the keyboards on a lot of these tracks. There's like this whirring kind of um, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a swelling, whirring kind of effect that's used. I don't always love that, but the guitars sound fucking great, and the bass and the drums, the rhythm section's killer. I mean, these guys. So this is one idea I had, right? Like the guitar is the pen is mightier than the guitar. Think about that. In other words, you can, okay, even though there's only one Johnny Marr, he's got a unique sound. Yes, he's a virtuoso, he's a genius, he's fucking awesome. But you can always find some hotshot guitar player to help you achieve your sound and vision, right? Can you replace a Morrissey? Can you replace a lyricist? No, there's only one. Like, you can find another acceptable lyricist for your band, and he can be your, or she can be your front man or front woman or whatever. But what really makes the song, you know? The pen, dare I say, is mightier than the guitar in some cases. Now, that doesn't mean the guitar is irrelevant, because as we'll see, these guys that he found to replace Marr, like all the collaborators he's found, they're also great, you know, in their own ways. So credit where credit is due. But it's kind of like with Bowie, he could always find collaborators who could help him achieve his vision. But without his vision, there's nothing, right? Without the lyrics and the song and the concept and the message,
Yeah.
it's just some, you know,
But it's also
guitar
the
noodling.
it's the deftness of the lyrics, right? Because there are plenty of people, and there's plenty of teenagers writing those kind of pseudo Morrissey songs in their bedrooms right now. There's something very teenage about Morrissey. I mean, he's like one of those perpetual teenagers, which again I think is very much the Enneagram 4. They remain teenagers forever in a way. But there's also a deftness to it, right? Because he's tormented, but there's it's this sort of fighting spirit. There's this it's the sort of I don't know, I'm reading Karamazov at the moment, Brothers Karamazov. I don't know if that's a
Okay.
book you've read.
Of course.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Well, I
And
mean, that's canonical. That's like in my DNA.
wow, yeah. But there's something about there's something very Dostoevskian, we could say, about Morrissey, right? That it's always at this very, very high pitch, and yet, there's a lot of kind of, it's not just one sort of, flavor coming through. It's, there's the pathos, but then there's also the anger and the bitterness, and it's like a whole handful of very, very strong emotions, which are all sort of warring with each other, or threaded through each other, and again, that's the feeling you often get when you're reading Dostoevsky as well, I would say.
Yeah, here's a comment on that. Best book ever, says Tomek.
It's good.
Yeah, it's. Which of the masculine archetypes do you most identify with?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm only about 150 pages in. Um, I mean, it's interesting because you get I suppose the Alyosha, I think about it as I do with novels these days, very much through a kind of an Enneagram lens. So, I think, in fact, if in my front cover, with where all the characters are, I've, along with GPT, I've typed and subtyped all of their characters. So, for example, when I think of Alyosha, I think of Social 2, Social 9. When I think of Dimitri, I think of someone like a Sexual 8. And I don't necessarily fully identify. I mean, there's a bit of Dimitri I identify with because I have that 8-ish Sexual 8 quality, that kind of craziness. I don't really identify with that with the Alyosha, who's the sort of the moral core of the book, because yeah, he's too good.
Well,
He's too good for.
Dostoevsky. Oh, Tomek says Team Alyosha. No. Dostoevsky wishes he could be Alyosha, but he's more Ivan and Dmitri.
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
for
and
me
and
that-
Ivan is like a 5. Ivan is very much, I think, like a sort of a 5 character. And again, you get all of this in Morrissey as well. I think Morrissey is very much this 4, 5, 8. Those are the flavors of Morrissey in terms of his personality, the sort of the personality factors.
4, 5, 8, stand up, satanic.
Yeah, and I think that's very much, Dmitri and Ivan are carry that the 5-8 side of things.
Well, I'll just quickly say when I first read Karamazov I guess I was, I don't know, 17 or 18. And my friend Via and I read this at the same time. My friend and co-author GJ Via. Time to plug a book. Have you read Flan's Day? So the first time we read it, we were Team Ivan. Oh yeah, we're atheists too. But then we read it again, maybe 15 years ago, and totally different. Like, we were much more sympathetic to Ivan, the sensualist. And we were completely, maybe like the first time we were kind of intrigued by
To
the
Ivan or to
transgressive-
Dmitri? Sorry.
Dimitri,
Yeah,
sorry.
Mitya,
Ivan
yeah.
the first time, sorry, I should make that clear. Ivan the first time, Ivan the skeptic, atheist, as you say, 5, observer, detached, cold, intellectual, right? But then 15 years ago, as, we were much older, both of us divorced fathers and, having been beaten up by the world in various ways, we identified much more closely with Dmitri, the sensualist and, the man of the flesh, the impulsive one. And whereas, like, the first time we read it, maybe we were intrigued by the transgressive nature of Smerdyakov, the bastard, right? We were totally disgusted with him. Like, there's this passage where it talks about how he would torture cats, like he would drown cats and practice animal cruelty. We're like, what the fuck? This guy's a total psychopathic piece of shit. We weren't at all intrigued. It wasn't like interesting and edgy. It was despicable, So I don't want to speak for him, but we discussed it, and I think we had similar reactions to the book. All right, enough of the Dostoevsky. Have you read this? I'm holding up Morrissey's autobiography for those who are just listening, not watching.
Is that? Oh, what is that? I mean, I know that he wrote this, which I didn't read because it was. Maybe I should have. It was, panned left, right, and center. He wrote a kind of a novel. I think it was even published through Penguin of all places, right? Penguin
Yeah.
Classics or something published
Yes.
Morrissey's novel. I don't know
Yeah.
how that came about, but I mean, he kind of probably deserved the wall to wall sort of takedown of that book. Although I haven't read it. What's that?
Don't spoil the book. He's talking about Karamazov.
Oh, Karamazov.
I
No,
think
it's okay.
I think you'd like it. This is not the novel. I know what you're talking about.
What? When did this come out? I didn't even.
out?
When was this? I wasn't even aware he'd
What's the
written
date
an
on this?
autobiography.
2011.
Oh, okay.
Copyright 2011 by Whores in Retirement. First published in the UK by Penguin Classics 2013. So I guess he wrote it in 2011 and it came out 2013. It's really good. I got quite a few notes here. He talks about his musical influences. He talks about the influence of poets like Robert Herrick, I think, is one of his favorites. He talks about like the short lines of some of these what would they be, restoration poets maybe. So like some of their lyrics are kind of like, you can see the connection to like pop music lyrics. So there's one great line in there. He says like, my whole purpose in life is to combine words with sound or something like that. It's what's that clip?
I wasn't even aware that was around. I will. I'd really like to read that. I'll put that on my to-read list.
There's another comment. Steve canceling Morrissey.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
novel
I'm
without reading it.
not.
Harsh.
I might even dip into it, but it's not gonna. Let's be fair here. It's if I read it after Karamazov, it's not gonna stand up very well. I suspect.
I'm gonna mute this.
I'm surprised you're not. Don't you? Aren't you on a non-ad subscription?
No, look, see, it's asking me for a subscription. I'm saying nope. Nah, I'm cheap. All right, here we go. Come
Cool.
back to Camden. Can you hear? Yeah, it's playing.
There is something I wanted to tell you. It's so funny, you'll kill yourself laughing. But then I look around and I remember that I am alone, alone, forevermore. The tile yard all along the railings, up a discolored dark brown staircase. Here you'll find despair and I calling to you with what's left of my heart forevermore. Drinking tea with the taste of the Thames, sullenly on a chair on the pavement. Here you'll find my thoughts and I, and here is the very last plea from my heart forevermore. Where taxi drivers never stop talking, under slate grey Victorian sky, here you'll find despair and I, And here I am, every last inch of me is yours forevermore. Your leg came to rest against mine. Then you lounged with knees up and apart, and me and my heart, we knew. We just knew forevermore. Where taxi drivers never stop talking, under slate grey Victorian sky, here you'll find my heart and I, and still we say come back to Camden.
Okay. Beautiful ballad.
This AI tool will take.
Oh, shut the hell up. Oops. All right.
Who do you think is the you in this song? Is it who do you think is and also who is calling him, come back to Camden? And still we say, come back to Camden, and I'll be good. What do you make of that?
I don't know. This is not one of the highlights for me. I mean, it's beautiful crooning. He's a crooner, and this is one of the best examples of that, right? Like it's almost a torch song. Romantic ballad. So I don't know, it's a sentimental kind of love song, a silly love song in the McCartney-esque tradition. I don't have a lot of deep.
I mean, he seems to be alluding. The setup I imagine in my head when he's singing this, right, is that he's come back from the States, and there is some kind of love interest who maybe lives in Camden, and they are sitting having this tea, because in Camden you've got the Thames, a tributary of the Thames passing through there, and he's feeling as ever sort of woeful and woebegone, because presumably this is a love affair that's not, that's one of those sort of impossible love affairs. I don't know, maybe he's something like that. I mean, this is sort of the mood of the song, I guess.
As you're saying that, I'm wondering, like, is there something about the climb or the Guineas low-key of the British Isles, the spirit of the place, that encourages these or inspires these feelings of melancholia? We talked about this in relation to the Chicken of Depression and Stevie Smith's Away Melancholy. Like in sunny California, he doesn't have these feelings to quite the same degree, maybe, you know. But then when he goes back and he's drinking his tea by the Thames, it's like, oh, here we go. It's that British black dog. It's the melancholia, which I have to say, I've always been attracted to that. Like, you can hear it in, you know, the Beatles' Yesterday, for example, which to me, it's always reminded me of like a Thomas Hardy lyric, you know. There's just that resignation and that worldly melancholy, almost Hamlet-esque, you know. I just finished with the Simon Critchley mysticism book, and he talks about mysticism as the anti-Hamlet impulse, right? But yeah, to me, this is just a very, I mean, even the geographical reference is Camden, right? That's a part of London. So
Well, I mean that's an
song.
important. I think that's an important reference, right? Because Camden to London is like the Haight-Ashbury or the Berkeley. It's a bit like Haight-Ashbury meets Berkeley, or it's a bit
Okay.
like Williamsburg, Lower East Side of New York, Lower East
Okay.
Side. Right, that's the vibe of Camden. So it's a very kind of indie type spot as well. This is not, you know, this is again. There's a kind of and it is a place, I think, of all the places in London that is most associated with kind of up and coming music, particularly indie kind of music. So that also, I don't know, I guess that also adds an extra sort of flavor to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, now that you explain that to me, it makes sense. It's kind of like a there's a kind of bohemian
Yes,
vibe,
yes,
I
very
guess.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is him in sort of 4-wing-5 mode. Yes.
Shall we
Let's listen
play
to
the
the next
next
one.
Okay. Do you think we're gonna be able to finish the whole thing, or just do one side?
I don't
Guess
know. I
we'll
was thinking
see.
about that. Maybe we could do just side A and yeah, not rush
That
it.
would be a pity in a way, because probably my favorite song on the whole album is track number 7, which, you know, if this were an LP, would be the first song on side 2. Fuck, is that an amazing song? I can't believe, I had never heard it before, you know.
Well, let's at least try and
Incredible.
get to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here is track number 5. I'm Not Sorry. Let me share. Come on. Here we go.
On returning, I can't believe this world is still turning. The pressure's on, because the pleasure hasn't gone. And I'm not sorry for the things I've done. And I'm not looking for just anyone. I'm competing. Oh, when will this tired heart stop beating? It's all a game. Existence is only a game. And I'm not sorry for the things I've done. And I'm not looking for just anyone. I'm slipping below the waterline. I'm slipping below the waterline. Reach for my hand, and the race is won. Reject my hand, the damage is done. I'm slipping below the waterline. I'm slipping below the waterline. The woman of my dreams, she never came along. The woman of my dreams, well, there never was one. And I'm not sorry for the things I've said. There's a wild man in my head. There's a wild man in my head.
Oh yes. Forgot about this. That's another one of those turns, this time musical, right? Like,
Yeah,
there
that's
are
interesting,
no
isn't it?
guitar solos on this album, but for whatever reason on track 5, for track 5, we get a flute solo, which I guess is played with the keyboard, but that is fantastic. That's like the highlight of the song for me, along of course with the line, "There's a wild man in my head." That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean that's so interesting because I identify a lot with that line as well, but it was also making me think, well, if for those of us who experience that, what are the metaphysics of that, right? And then so curious that the flute, which does not indicate wildness, the flute indicates something more ethereal and more focused, almost more mindful in a way. I don't know, those are my associations. Interesting that should lead us out. Maybe the flute's more aligned with the line, "I'm slipping below the waterline," I don't know.
Well, actually, in ancient Greek music, there's the flute and the oboe, and I want to say the flute is associated with Dionysus. So
Oh,
to the
really?
Greeks, I may have the two mixed up. I'll need to look that up. Show notes, flute, oboe, Greek music. But yeah, if the flute is associated with Dionysus, then actually it's like the wild, untamed, you know, Bacchic or Dionysian energy that's being
Yeah.
evoked.
Which certainly certain wind instruments, like say saxophone, trumpets, those kind of more what I think of more sort of jazz type instruments, they have that quality, but it's not a quality I associate with flute. Um,
I guess it depends on the performer and the performance, but there is an ancient like significance to the flute. I'll have to confirm what it is, but I want to say it's associated with Dionysus. If I've mixed that up, then shame on me. I'm supposed to be a classicist. All right, so ready for track 6, which is, I know, a highlight for you, isn't it?
oh yeah.
You've featured this in some of your
I actually did a video on this as
videos.
well. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
yeah. I did a video of this title, I think.
After meeting some wonderfully outgoing,
Some tea
friendly
people.
Brits. Yeah. All right, so here we go.
You must be wondering how the boy.
What happened?
Wish to hurt you. Work within the law. This world is
You hear it now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for. So full of crashing balls. And I must be one. Cause no one ever turns to me to say, take me in your arms. Take me in your arms and love me. You must be wondering how the boy next door turned out. Have a care and say a prayer because he's still there, lamenting policewomen, policemen, silly women, taxmen, uniformed whores, educated criminals. Work within the law. This world is for. So full of crashing balls. And I must be one. Cause no one ever turns to me to say, take me in your arms. Take me in your arms. And love me. And love me. What really lies beyond the constraints of my mind? Could it be the sea with fate mooning back at me? No, it's just more lockjaw pop stars thicker than dick shit, nothing to convey. They're so scared to show intelligence. It might smear their lovely career. This world, I am afraid, is designed for crashing balls. I am not one. I am not one. You don't understand. You don't understand, and yet you can take me in your arms and love me, and love me. Take me in your arms and love me, love me, love me. Take me in your arms and love me. Take me in your arms and love me. Would you do what you should do?
Interesting outro there. End of side one. Okay, there's my favorite. Um, okay, let's stop this. Stop the sharing. Yeah, another slow, melancholic meditation. Some great lines in here. Lockjawed pop stars, thicker than pig shit, nothing to convey. So scared to show intelligence, it might smear their lovely career or cause them to be throttled by the algorithm. That's always a possibility. Uniformed whores, that's a theme that runs through at least two of the songs on here. The next one talks about, you know, people in their uniform. This is so great. Uniformed whores, educated criminals, work within the law. You know, these people that want to hurt you, they're going to find a way to do it legally. Police women, policemen, silly women, taxmen, uniformed whores, they who wish to hurt you work within the law. Whores and bores, that's a great rhyme.
Yeah, it's a very interesting song because I can also see when I listen to the song, you know, I can see also why um, people admire but also find Morrissey, you know, petulant and maybe even somewhat childish, if you like, because I guess he's also expressing a kind of impatience and also, I guess, a lack of compassion, for want of a better word, right? For
Misanthropic, you know.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's ultimately what it boils down to. It's a full yeah, it's a sort of full communication of that misanthropy. Um,
And
and yet,
he
yeah,
wallows in it. He wallows in it, you know. So I guess like you say, I think you mentioned this in your discussion of Pessoa's The Book of Disquiet. Like you said, some of the passages in there remind you of Morrissey, and it's like the kind of friend you wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with every day, but when you're in the mood for it, it's like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like you're really touching on something I have been through and can relate to and can understand. But you know, sometimes it's too much, right? Like you have to be in the mood for it. But when you are in the mood for it, thank whatever gods there be that it exists, right? Like you can go to it in your time of need and wallow with him. How about that?
yes, yeah, and it's again, it's I mean, all of these songs have that juxtaposition, right, between the sort of self-pitying, weak, pathetic, um, sort of abject. I think is maybe the right is
Abject,
the word
yeah.
I would put for it. You know, there's something Morrissey's sense of himself is a very abject one, and yet it's combined, right? It's not like he's sort of all, because usually that abject kind of status goes in line with a kind of meek and mild, almost humiliated, sniveling. Oh well, you know, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. No one loves me. It also comes with a lot of this kind of fight, this and this
That is
misanthropic
that's what's
anger as
beautiful,
well.
that balancing of the misanthropy with the self-deprecation in such a humorous, ironic, sarcastic way, you know. But when he, like in the next song, you know, when he goes on the attack, it's sincere and heartfelt, and you really feel it in a powerful way. But it also has its comic side, right? Like if he actually, this person he feels disgust for at a distance, if he actually talked to him or her, he'd probably be pretty friendly and sympathetic, you know. But just seeing this person and seeing one of these uniformed whores gets his dander up, right? Like, ugh, No, I want to stay away from that. I would never be you. Sick as I am, I'm reading ahead here. I'm anticipating the next track.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder should we play that one and wrap it because it's like almost one here, and I know you got to walk max. I
Yeah,
don't feel
let's
like we can do all 12. You know.
I agree. Yeah, let's do this. I mean, this was a sort of a test run anyway, right? To just see how it works, and I guess
Yeah,
we'll
it's
be able to.
salvageable. I think in the future maybe we'll just play like 20-second clips and chat, or I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll figure it out. Let's
Go
let's
back to the
listen
drawing
to
board.
track.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
track 7, and then if we have comments on 8 through 12, we can quickly just uh, mention them, reflections without listening. But this one, oh my goodness, I listened to it for the first time. I think yesterday. For some reason, I'd not like heard the whole album all the way through, and the first 10 seconds, I was just immediately hooked. Like, holy fuck, this rocks, man. This is like, here's an example of how Johnny Marr is replaceable, and it's a
Uh-huh.
unique sound. It's heavier than like the Smiths. This is like my kind of shit. Like these guys, and you look them up, Alan White, Boz Boorer, um, uh, Jesse Tobias, Gary Day is the bass player. These guys are fucking solid, They're like rockabilly guys. They're rockers.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
this chord progression is so surprising and amazing. It's wow. I probably listened to this 20 times yesterday. So
Wow.
here we go
Okay.
with 21.
Ah, yeah.
Are we sharing yet? Not yet. Here we go. I gotta start this at the beginning because it's fucking killer. Here we go.
She told me she loved me, which means she must be insane. I've had my face dragged in 15 miles of shit, and I do not like it. So how can anybody say they know how I feel? The only one around here who is me is me. They said they respect me, which means their judgment is crazy. I've had my face dragged in 15 miles of shit, and I do not like it. So how can anybody say they know how I feel when they are they and only I am I? He said he wants to befriend me, which means he can't possibly know me. The voices of the real and the imagined cry. The future is passing you by. The future is passing you by. So how can anybody possibly think they know how I feel? Everybody look, see pain and walk away. And as for you in your uniform, your smelly uniform, and so you think you can't be rude to me because you wear a uniform, a smelly uniform, and so you think you can't be rude to me. But even I, as sick as I am, I would never be you. Even I, as sick as I am, I would never be you. Even I, sick and depraved, a traveler to the grave, I would never be you. I would never be you.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. That is just incredible, man. I love that song.
You know, it's so funny that this is maybe one of your favorite, and this is one of my least favorite on the album. And
Really?
my understanding of this, right, is that for me, this is Morrissey at his most 8. And in fact, I said this while I was listening. I said this to GPT, and listen to what GPT said back to me. They said, yes, absolutely. The central 8th theme here is, you will never understand me. Not in a sensitive, longing, for-ish way, but in a sort of dismissive, self-protective snarl. He sets up a challenge. If you claim to understand him, you must be insane, misguided, or simply not him. Also, the reaction against, again, I'm thinking Karamazov, right? I'm thinking Dmitri here, right? The reaction against betrayal, perceived or real, is very classic 8. Love, madness, respect, nonsense, friendship, impossible. The outright disgust at authority, the sneering at the man in the uniform is pure 8, particularly in its degradation of the other. The uniform is not just oppressive, it is smelly, it is rude, it is beneath him. The power structure is inverted. He, despite his own sickness, is still more than them. There's also a shadow of Enneagram 4 withdrawal and disdain. I mean, that's the stuff I go with, right? The withdrawal and the disdain. But, GPT again, it lacks the romanticized suffering of the core 4. It's not the longing of, nobody understands me and that is tragic, right? That's the 4. But more this brute, nobody understands me and that is right. You know? I love that. I love that distinction between, let's say, the 4 and the 8. Nobody understands me and that is tragic. Nobody understands me and that is right. For me, I don't know, that's just perfect.
Well, I would say, you know, again, there's that balancing of the misanthropy and the self deprecation, you know? It's like, as sick as I am, what's the twist he puts on it? Oh, that's so great. He says, sick and depraved, a traveler to the grave. I would never be you is how he ends. I just think, and that's one of those twists again. I didn't see that coming, you know, like where did that lyrical, you know, tangent, the excursus on the uniformed whore alluded to in the previous song or 2 songs ago or whatever, right? Like, I wasn't expecting that, you know. First, it is kind of self-deprecating, right? Like if you like me or want to befriend me or you're in love with me, there's something wrong with you. You're insane, you're crazy, or you don't know me, you know. So I certainly wasn't expecting the invective of this attack on the uniformed whore, but I love it, you know. And again, what drives it is the music. Like I don't know what came first. I don't know about the composition process, but I'm assuming the I think this was an Alan White song. He's like, oh, I got this chord progression, and so again, Morrissey goes to the notebook. Let's try this with it, and can't argue with the result. It's beautiful. It's an amazing track. Brilliant piece of songwriting. The arrangement, again, there's some of that. I wrote down the description. It's like a swirling, whirring, whooshing keyboard on some of these tracks. Maybe not so much on this one, but they're like echoes of it. I don't love that. And there's like a background chant. I don't even know what they're saying on that bridge part or middle 8 or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about? There's like something in the background. I've listened. As
I mean, it's
say,
hard
plenty
to,
times.
as I say, this is the other tricky side of listening to it through Riverside, because the reason also I've been mainly commenting on the lyrics is because I know the songs, but I'm not getting, they're not high quality enough for me to actually be able to distinguish between the some of the musical instruments and
Yeah.
work out what's going on there. So that, I guess, for our next recording, we need to work out how to do that so we can actually listen to them in their full, pristine, as good as HD quality.
Even if we download tracks and play excerpts, I think once it's streamed on Riverside, it's still going to be like, there's still going to be some loss of quality. So I don't know. It's going to require some research.
I mean, in the live stream, but for the actual edited piece, right, I'll just simply replace all of the YouTube playthroughs with the actual track itself, so that
Well, you're certainly welcome to do that. I don't have as much time for editing, so I just like to make a few little quick adjustments, and maybe I'll end up cutting the some of the longer listens that we did. But I think our reflections on the tracks were pretty spot on and interesting. So we'll see.
Well, maybe that is the way to. Yeah, maybe that is the way to do it. Maybe I need to sit down and talk to and the LLM who is who is probably more in cahoots with the Google algorithm than we are, to kind of work out what would be the best way to play it literally. But it's been an interesting experiment. I mean, it's very enjoyable to do, right? And it is enjoyable, I think, to listen to the whole track, because also depending on where you're at, you're going to be caught by different things than maybe if you listen to it beforehand. But I think we can go back to the drawing board and work out what is it we're trying to achieve, and maybe we could make it more that we do some listening and some note taking beforehand, and then we bring that, and it's more discursive than listening, I guess, right?
I mean, that would be my impulse, but it's open. We can try different things, see what's best. Do you have any comments on tracks 8 through 12? We've got First of the Gang to Die.
Well, apart from saying maybe First of the Gang to Die is maybe my favorite track on the album.
Oh, shit.
In a way, because also for the reasons that I think it's also Morrissey's most astute and and hilarious commentary on Eros, right? You have never been in love until you've seen the stars reflect in the reservoirs, and you have never been in love until you've seen the dawn rise behind the home for the blind. There's something about that. I've always been struck, particularly by that particular verse. You've never been in love until you've seen the dawn rise behind the home for the blind. Because this, I don't know what your take on that would be, but for me that just captures the absolute absurdity of Eros, right? That in a way we are playing that game in order to stand with our beloved and see the dawn rise, and yet most likely we're not going to see the dawn rise because we are, I don't know, at each other's throats, or we are blinded in the process of our erotic connection. There's something going on there that I find very, very pleasing and generative in a way. I don't know what you make of those lines.
Well, just the song in general. I'm thinking of like how one of the turnoffs people have about Morrissey is his kind of fascination with bad boy, naughty boy, rough boy culture. Like he kind of fetishizes gangsters. He was like a fan of the Cray brothers. These guys, murderers, killers. So he kind of,
and that feels, I wonder if
that.
I wonder if there's something for Morrissey, if there's something kind of erotic about that predominantly,
I think so.
right? I mean, that's just, he just finds that just a turn on. It's not like he necessarily would condone the behavior of those men, but he just finds them very sexy and exciting.
Rough Trade, that was the name of the Smiths' first label, right? Rough Trade Records. So there's, it's kind of appropriate. I mean, yeah, that's how I take it. It is kind of erotic for him. And as I say, that's kind of a turn off for some people because not everyone like admires the Cray brothers, for instance. They're horrified by their barbarism and their violence and their disregard for any human values. I mean, I guess that could be argued on the other side, but they're not, I don't necessarily admire them in any way. So I think they're fascinating characters, but like I don't romanticize them, let's put it that way. How about 9 through 12?
Well, seeing as I need to go, I think maybe for me a kind of a somewhat closing remark would be that the last 4 lines of this, if I got the lyrics right, of this album are the squalor of the mind, the squalor of the mind, the squalor of the mind, the squalor of the mind. And I think that's, and we're back to Dostoevsky again, right? I think in the sense that this is for those who truly, for those of us whom Morrissey is canonical, I think it's because we recognize and appreciate that there's very few people, certainly in pop music, who do the squalor of the mind as well as I mean, you can find that certainly in literature in abundance, but in pop music, that's a very, very special quality that he brings, right?
Predecessors would maybe include Lou Reed,
sure,
Iggy Pop, to some extent, Bowie to some extent, but he's in a class by himself. Like there's no one who does what he does. Again, the pen is mightier than the guitar when it comes to songwriting, at least in his case, because he proved through the success of his solo career that you can find other collaborators to help you achieve your vision. You're not dependent on the one guy you came up with and found success with before, right? Like you can always keep going and find new people that you can work with, and they bring something different. Like this doesn't sound like a Smiths record, does it? It's not that jangly Johnny Marr stuff, which we also like and appreciate. But I mean, this is heavier. I like these guys. I like this band. I like the guys that he found to play with in this period. So I
can see that. I mean, having listened to a lot of your music recently, right? I can definitely see this more, kind of rough trade, very more 8-ish version of Morrissey. Our piece that we did, I ended it with Pearls Before Swine, and I feel that's got a very kind of Morrissey feel to it. That song, right? And based on the views we've had, it feels like the right one to go out on.
Well, don't obsess over that. We'll talk
No, no,
off
no.
camera. We'll talk off camera about maybe the solution is to chop it up and offer short little dim sum samples or tapas rather than, and we can also keep the long version, but maybe start with little chopped up samples, like one question at a time. I have some thoughts about it. Also, I'm very like disappointed in one of my answers. God, it's so
Oh, really?
fucking, yeah. I'll tell you. I'll send you the
Okay.
timestamp later. Like, oh God, I sound so long-winded and my answer is pointless. It's not not all, but there's one in particular that I just cringed at when I listened to. So we can discuss that further. But I think it's a great idea. There's kind of a Monty Python kind of quality, like a stream of consciousness quality with all the effects you put in there, which I like very much. So I
I
think,
like the format. I mean, I'm going to see maybe if I can get Tomek to do one with me, because I like this idea of kind of go this backwards and forwards, having this kind of conversation, maybe with these like little videos, and you also get to see that other person's world. I think it draws you out of the sort of the studio setup, which is a little bit static and a little bit maybe. I mean, it's a classic sort of YouTube format, but I just feel that it's fresher. It just feels a lot fresher to have some of those cutaways and
I agree. I just, for me, I just can't invest the time in the editing. I appreciate
yeah.
that you do.
Oh, no,
that.
no.
I'm
It
thankful
it
for that.
required a huge amount of editing, and
Yeah.
so I'll need to do a sort of a slightly scaled back version with whoever I do it with in the future, because it was gargantuan, all of that material.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's put our thinking caps on for World Peace is None of Your Business and do that one right, if you know what I mean. I think it makes sense for both of us to go away, listen to those songs, consume them, and then come with thoughts, and then have more of a discussion about each track. And I think you're right. And then just play a little clip. I can then just stick in little clips, right, and which will make the editing process also easier. And then we've got those bits and pieces we want to say. We've got some notes, and we can kind of. I think that would make maybe for a more satisfying listen, also for someone coming to it wanting some content on that album. So
Yeah.
let's maybe plan to do that
I'll look at format options. Maybe there's a way I can change the layout, although I think I tried everything, but I can email Riverside and ask, is there a way to make the screen share smaller so we're all the same size? Because at one time, I think it was like that, when we were doing the live stream, but it seems to be different every time. I don't think I changed any settings, but maybe I did. I'm just not a very tech savvy person. I want to just do it and then put it out there and go focus on books and music.
Sure. No, totally. That's how it should be. I mean, I would say maybe for World Peace, maybe we could use your texting studio, but without slides, because then it would just be the two of us side by side, wouldn't it?
Well, this would be too, No,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no,
right.
That's what I'm saying. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, now during the live stream, it's like the screen share is up top, and then
Oh, okay. Well,
we're
then
on
that's
the bottom.
yeah.
Whereas before
Yeah.
we were on the side. I don't know what happened.
Right. Okay.
And it's like across all of the studios. It's not
Yeah.
just texting or guitar and pen or books are burning. Whatever. I mean, I'll look into that.
I
but,
think the easiest way is going to probably be just to do it as that we
chat.
come on and we just talk, and we just go through the tracks and we talk about them. I think that would be perhaps the quickest and easiest way
maybe
to do it.
if there's like a particular section, we can have that time stamped and just play a few seconds of it.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So while we're doing it, I'll be making. I'm happy to do that. I'll be making some notes, sticking the timestamps, thinking of where we want those little musical examples, and then just pop those in afterwards. I think that's probably going to be the best bet.
Okay. Well.
All right, I need to run, but
Yep. Go take care of Max.
that was a good
Thanks
one.
for
I'll speak to you.
joining.
Speak to you soon. Yeah.
This has been Guitar and Pen. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Okay, I stopped it. All right. Thanks.
Great.